Here we go. And then we're heading on to Facebook.
Yay. We're like all over all the interwebs today.
All over it, and I love it. People need this.
I know, like so badly.
Yeah. I mean, everyone needs this.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. Okay, go live. There we go. All right, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. I'm so excited to be here with someone who's been so impactful. Here, I'm going to change to gallery view. Someone who's been so impactful and so important on my journey and growth in the past year and has helped me tap into my potential, has been a huge part of my support system, has been someone who has held the space for me, shown up for me in ways that no one really has shown up for me before. She was part of a mastermind that I was in, and the bond and friendship and sisterhood that we share together is something that's so special. And so tomorrow night, actually, Erin is going to be facilitating something that I get to be a part of with everyone in that sisterhood. And so I'm so excited. But she is a manifestation coach who works with women, who is life-changing for so many people. She's a powerhouse. She is just a complete badass in so many ways and really walks the walk and like walks the talk. And so, Erin, I'm so grateful that you're here, and I'm so grateful that you chose like to spend this time and spend the morning with us. And so thank you. And I wanted to like offer you the opportunity to add anything else that you wanted to add.
Thank you so much for having me. And I literally feel like I'm going to cry from you saying that. And it's not just like my voice is probably cracking right now, because like all of that stuff, I feel it in my heart and soul, because I haven't had sisterhood like that before either. And Jilly has been such an amazing part of my journey and my life. And the crazy thing is like, we've only ever seen each other in person 2 times. And I think the power of connection that can be created in this space is so beautiful. And I'm so immensely grateful for the role that you've played in my life and the space that you've held for me. So just the same, pretty much everything you said. I feel like my voice is cracking, because as you were saying that, I was like, ooh, getting emotional. I feel like the energy right now is so, I'm feeling this powerful energy and intention come forth of like needing to spread love and step up and do this work more than ever. But sometimes there's also a heavy energy, and this energy of shift, of letting go and shedding. And like, so when you said that, it was just like super emotional.
Yeah, I mean, like if you look through what we've been through together in the past year and what we've built together and what we've shed together, it's like, it's so beautiful. And that's really one of like one of the many reasons I'm so grateful that like you said yes and like jumped on like being on today, is because we can speak from a foundation and from a relationship and from something that's been built when we both have fallen into fear, right? We both have doubted, and we both have celebrated each other, and we've grown together, and we have held that space, right? And we've been on cloud 9, and we've had our biggest months together, and we've had our lowest. And so it's so special, because I think that with one another, we can really like talking about the theme and talking about like everything that's going on right now, and offering people the love and the light that is needed, and showing up in this way is being vulnerable, is talking about the heaviness, is saying that there's nothing wrong when you feel heavy, and there's nothing wrong when you cry, and there's nothing wrong when you doubt and feel anxiety. Like that's actually part of it. And like, let's come together in sisterhood, in community, to be like, hey, it's okay, and like, we got you. And so it was yesterday, wasn't it yesterday? I like messaged our group, and I was like, I'm really struggling this morning. Like, I'm really struggling. And Erin was like, me too, but I'm holding a space for you and I love you and I'm here and I'm in it and like I'm here with you. And it was like that's all I needed. And so Erin, like I want you to talk a little bit about like, I mean, what has been your experience and how are you like nurturing and loving yourself through this experience, especially with you have kids at home too. Like I don't have kids, right? And so you have kids at home and you're like, you are the main focus of income in your household and like are this rock for your family. Like what's going on over there? And like, let's get that perspective because it's not a perspective that I've had yet on.
Yeah. There goes my voice cracking again. Yeah, I know when you came in there yesterday, I was like, me too, 100%. And my kids are home with me. They've been amazing. They're a little bit older. They're my two littler ones are 6 and 10. So I mean, they are self functioning, I guess I would say, but like I've been doing like homeschooling stuff with them and just trying to be, one thing, if there's any moms out there that are listening that I've been doing is like, I've been incorporating them in some of the things that I would normally do, like say my affirmations. Okay, I'm like, well, saying your affirmations is like public speaking, and writing our gratitude list and our desires list is like your spelling test. So I've been getting creative with like, and gym is like, okay, we go ride our bike or we do yoga. And sometimes school is like, we go to the park and we're like, doing math problems with chalk on the sidewalk just to get out and get fresh air. So I think what I've been doing, and of course I have, separate time and stuff like that, but I think I've been incorporating a lot of the things that I would normally do to make myself feel good and filled up and just bringing them in. So like, I need to be outside and, even if that's just walking down the street and doing chalk in our driveway or something, like I need to feel grounded. So that's huge for me. But when I can incorporate that with, how I'm teaching them and things like that, it makes my life, it gets to be simple. It doesn't have to be like, I think a lot of people right now feel this heavy energy of, oh my God, like what are all the things that I quote unquote have to do, or what should this look like? And I think we're actually being called to be in this space of presence. And I had this conversation with my group last night was, the answer is always in the now. Our heightened sense of consciousness and awareness, which is at its core love, is only when we're in the present moment, not when we're thinking future, not when we're thinking back. And, it's okay, of course, to think to the future. In fact, that's really powerful for moving forward. It's okay to look back to say, okay, these are the patterns I'm breaking, or, this is what I'm going to shift out of. That's okay. But like the answer is always in the present moment. And I think now more than ever, that's really, really heightened, because we live in such a world where a lot of the masculine like patriarchal paradigms are honored and celebrated because that makes us, worthy, and we're doing all the things and we're proving. And right now it's like we kind of have to slow down. And I don't mean slow down like stop our lives. I mean, we kind of have this time in the sense of we can be present, we can do these things for ourselves, we can do these things with our kids. And I think that's a huge part of like the lesson and the paradigm shifting in all of this is realizing that when you are present and in the now, that's where all the answers are. And I know that's hard for people that might be feeling some fear and anxiety. Sometimes that's hard for me. Sometimes I break down in tears too. Sometimes I feel the overwhelm as well. But I think coming home to that, like presence and now, and just really being able to breathe into that is the answer. And that's really what I'm trying to do.
And so how can you help people like do that? Like, how would you suggest that we get into the now? What are some techniques and tools that you use that you can offer people listening? Because I think that it is so hard, like when you are in anxiety and you are in panic and you are in overwhelm, like actually one, being aware, but then two, having all the tools in your toolbox to be able to like, okay, I'm going to take this one out and I'm going to try this. Okay, that didn't work. I'm going to take this one out and try it. Okay, that worked. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Like I'm here and I'm now.
Yeah, that's so true. And I actually had someone say that to me last night. Like, I'm aware of that, but okay, how do I do this? So I feel like I have so many different tools. I'll kind of maybe share like a process with you,
Yeah.
and give you guys some tools that you can either look up or implement, whatever. But I would say that the first step for me is, and it depends if you're like in the heat of the moment of like, oh my God, I'm in a panic right now. But like, if you can ground yourself in some way. Like, we are all energetic beings, and the safety and security of the like electromagnetic field of the earth is actually what makes you feel held. So like, if you can take off your shoes, go outside, depending on where you are, or if you can just like lay into the ground, you know, or even just go outside and like breathe fresh air, I would highly, highly recommend in some way, shape, or form. That creates a sense of safety and security within yourself. So I would say that. The second thing is like, make friends with the fear, which depending on where you're at, you're probably like, F you, screw you, like, I hate you, don't say that. But like, the reality is like, that's what we have to do, because it has power over us until we are like, okay, I see you. And then we willingly, and when we can identify it in our bodies too. I like to tell people that, like, when I'm feeling stress, pressure, anxiety, any of that, like, I always feel it right here in my heart space. So if I can feel where I feel it in my body, then I can breathe into it. And so for me, that looks like if I can like ground myself or center myself in some way and just like touch myself there, like wherever you feel it. Some people probably feel it in their like, you know, stomach, the pit of their stomach. Some people probably feel a headache, whatever it is, but like, and just deeply breathe into it. And at first the breaths might feel kind of shallow, because when you have that constricted, like panic type feeling, but like, keep doing it until you can breathe into it so much that you kind of like feel your chest and your belly lift, and like it starts to feel expansive. And something that helps me a lot is to like imagine a light, which is something I do with my hypnotherapy clients. But imagine like when you're breathing in a light, and that light is like softening, or like, even like if you feel tension and it feels like, you know, a knot, imagine that's kind of like undoing the knot. And this is a really intentional practice, and you have to focus on the breath, and you have to focus on that light. So you literally cannot focus on anything else. And your mind's going to probably try to be like, no, but this is going on. It's okay. Like, it is okay for that to happen, but come back and give yourself 60 seconds or 90 seconds to do this, maybe 2 minutes, like whatever you need. The key is letting yourself feel it. I think a lot of times we want to bypass it when we feel the anxiety, and we're like, okay, how can we fix it? But for me, and for a lot of my clients, the reality has been that like, if you don't let yourself feel it, you're just bypassing it. You're just pushing it down. You're just skirting around it, and you're never actually transmuting the energy in and of itself. So, you know, breathing into it, feeling it. Listen, if you're feeling an immense amount of anxiety and you need to cry, you need to put your headphones in and go for a walk, or you need to lock yourself in the closet while your kids are like doing whatever they're doing, and say, mommy needs a minute, and you need to cry. You need to let it out. You need to grab a pillow and you need to scream into it. Like, you need to transmute the energy. And when I say transmute the energy, I mean like, you need to, energy is not destroyable, right? It's just, it just changes form. So you, what?
I said it's transferable.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't destroy energy. Energy is energy is energy. It will always be, but you can transfer it, transmute it, change it. Transmute it just means to change its form. So it feels like anxiety in your chest, and you give yourself permission to scream into your pillow or to cry. You are letting it do what it needs to do. So that's really powerful. And then from that space of like letting it out, being able to ask yourself, like, being able to ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Or what is this trying to tell me? Or who is this calling me to be? Like, just kind of introspectively being able to ask yourself, what is this actually indicative of, right? Because when we're in the height of this feeling, we can't really identify. We think, oh my God, it's about this. But usually there's something going on that it's trying to teach you. All of our triggers are always trying to teach us something. So then when you can identify that, then act from that space. And when I say act, it could just be, you know, it could just be create a boundary, you know, between you and someone who triggers you right now. It could be creating an open line of communication with someone. It could be looking at your values and your standards and where you may need to shift things. And then from there, you know, you can act and begin to create what I like to call this positive feedback loop, right? So when you get this sense of, you know, safety and security, okay, I'm centered. Okay, I can kind of look at this objectively at this point. I felt the feelings, I've processed. now I can take action from that space of feeling some sense of self and safety and security because I brought myself back home. Then you create this positive feedback loop of like, okay, I can create safety within self. Okay, I am love. And when you act in honor of that, it almost like anchors it in, and that starts to become your truth versus like the anxiety, the fear being your truth. So that's kind of like a process, I guess I would say. I like tapping. I don't know if you tap, Jilly. Do you tap?
I have before, but I actually haven't like gotten into it, but one of my clients is huge into tapping.
I love it. I've never taken a class or anything. I've actually
Yeah.
wanted to take a workshop, but I've just, YouTube videos, read about it. I have a couple clients that do it as well. So I've just incorporated it in ways that feel good for me. But like tapping, just look it up on YouTube, you guys. It taps on the meridian points on your body, and it basically like releases the energy. And so like you'll tap on these certain points, and like you'll basically say, I understand that this is where I understand that I'm feeling fear and anxiety right now, but I'm safe and supported, and I deeply accept myself, or things like that. It's like acknowledging what you're feeling, but also saying I'm safe and supported, also saying I love and accept myself. That kind of is just very surface level general idea of it, but that's really helpful. Meditating is obviously really helpful, but I find that telling someone to meditate when they feel an extreme sense of like fear or anxiety probably is setting them up to fail, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I know that like, so Deepak and Oprah are doing a 21-day like it's like hope in uncertainty. I can't remember. It's like something like that. And uh it's really interesting in van life when you park in really random areas, the things that you see. I'm just going to say that. I just saw a really weird thing that I'm not going to say what it was right now. But there's this 21-day meditation, and what is helpful for me is like not even like my mind might be going crazy. It's like the breath that meditation forces me to do. And so like this is what I like to think about too, is like we've all been stuck underwater, right? Like at some point in your life, like when you're little, you were like stuck under a float, or someone held you and like you was joking around but wouldn't let you up, right? Or you've been caught in a wave and you don't know what's up and down, and the panic that you feel of like, oh my God, I can't breathe, right? Like that's because there's a lack of oxygen coming to your brain and coming to your body. When you shallow breathe, it's just a lack of oxygen coming to your body. And so that's why breath is so important, is it allows oxygen to come in, because if you're shallow breathing, like your actual livelihood is being threatened because you're not getting enough oxygen. And so like that breath, like we've been talking, like yesterday I had someone talk about like belly breathing, and Erin's talking about breathing, and other people talk about breath work and meditation and prana and all of this stuff. Well, it's just breath. It's allowing the oxygen to flow in, and then allowing you to get present in the now. Just like you said, Erin, is like, that's what it does for me. So for meditating, my goal isn't to like quiet my mind, even though that is like a thing that ends up happening. It's okay, like I just need to breathe. And then when I breathe, I feel calmer. And then when I'm calmer, I feel better. And now I can readdress what was going on. And so like I've actually been amazed at like me focusing on my breath recently has been huge. The other thing that I'm going to send you this article, I'm going to send our group this article, and actually I'm going to put it in like anywhere that you can watch this video. I'm going to put it in there, but it was this article on the experience we're having right now is actually grief. It's kind of like after 9/11, like going to the airport before 9/11 and then 9/11 happened, and then after, like it's completely different, right? Like right now what you're feeling is like the fear and the grieving that we all know that our world and our society isn't going to be the same. It's not going to be bad, right? Or anything like that, but we know that this is a time of transformation. And so the anxiety that you're feeling is okay because you're actually grieving. And when you can put a name to the emotion and you can acknowledge like, wow, actually I am grieving. I'm grieving my old life. I'm grieving my old self. I'm grieving the person that I was and the person I know I'm going to have to step into. Because I know that that's been a huge thing for me. And Erin, I'd love for you to talk on that. I was being interviewed for a podcast yesterday. And the biggest thing for me is I had this realization that I'm grieving the woman that I have to let go of in this situation, because it's requiring me to level up and to show up and to step more into my power than ever before. And that's freaking scary. It's so scary, because when you have to show up for yourself, it's so scary. And I'd love to hear what you have to say. I love you so much.
I totally did not plan to cry. Sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry, because I feel like people need to see that we're human, right? But oh my God, when you were saying that, it was like hitting me in every feel that I have, you know? I feel that hardcore. Like, I don't know if I can identify that it's 100% attached to this, but I was feeling this like probably starting back in October, maybe November time. And it was just a really, really heavy energy for me for a couple months. And it affected me a lot, obviously. And now I feel it like almost like coming to its head of like, okay, you have to let go of what's not serving you. You have to let go of the version of you that feels the need to make that work, that feels the need to hold on to ways of being, people, experiences, and belief systems that are no longer serving who you need to step into right now. And like when you said, I forget what you said, but it like triggered me. You said something about basically like, I don't know, did you say something about taking care of yourself, or what did you say?
I'm not sure. Like it just, I mean, I
know, I just was trying to like,
yeah.
I was trying to
I mean,
basically like, what?
No, go.
Okay.
I want
basically like this feeling of like stepping into really needing to, I think you said something about stepping up for yourself or something in a new way or whatever. Really feeling the need to like step up and step out and like own our shit in a way that we haven't before. And I personally, and I'll just be really open because I feel like I'm kind of like beating around the bush. I'm having a really hard time in my marriage, not necessarily my business, but I think like all things that are ways of being and ways of operating that weren't working in all aspects of our lives and businesses, because, you know, the collective energy, I think they're all falling apart. And I'm not saying my marriage is falling apart. I don't know what's happening. But what I am saying is that like the way that we were doing things clearly was not working, and it's coming to a peak and it's painful. And when you were saying like grieving, it's like grieving the loss of something that you don't even necessarily want to hold on to, right? We don't actually want to hold on to these things that were not serving us. We don't want to hold on to these old beliefs that were telling us we had to hustle and we had to struggle to, you know, to prove that we were worthy, or the way of my relationship that wasn't working. I don't want to hold on to that, but it also, we hold on to a little shred of it because it's what we've known. And it's like a massive identity crisis when all of a sudden it's like, okay, even though that's not serving you, I'm going to ask you, or the universe is going to show the fuck up and forcibly like kind of tell us we have to let go of that in order to step into this new paradigm. Whether you wanted the thing or not, the way that it was, doesn't mean that you don't feel that sense of grief.
Totally. 100%. And it's this time and like this experience of the lack of distraction that we have, right? Like we can't get out. We're around people with this like shelter stay or whatever this is called that we're in right now. It's kind of like van life 24/7. You're with someone all the time. You can't leave. Nothing, you can't be distracted, right? The internet is slower because everyone's on it. The phone bills, like it's crazy. Like Verizon almost crashed. Like it's insane. All of our distractions are taken away. So we can't numb, we can't escape, and we're forced to face everything. And we're forced to lean into the uncomfortable parts with our partners, with our kids, and with ourselves. And you guys, this a lot of times sucks and is hard. Period. It's adversity. It's not easy. It's not meant to be, because you're forcing yourself to grow and to evolve and to co-create your relationships, right? Whether it's your marriage, whether it's with your kids, and with yourself, and with your community, and with your business. Like whatever you are forcing with, because we all are feeling it right now, you are being invited to heal. And like, I mean, that's the thing, like with Robbie, we're in this tiny space together, right? Like there's so much uncertainty and so many things right now, and it's like this constant communication. And I was like, God, I just feel like this is so much work, and it's work when like it's never been work before. And it's okay. Like it doesn't feel okay, and I want to fast forward, and I want to get through this, and I want to come out on the other side. And I would be doing this whole situation a disservice, and myself a disservice, if I wasn't like, okay, and I'm also learning a lot, and I'm growing a lot, and this is uncomfortable, and I want to fast forward, but I'm not, and I can't, and that's okay.
Yeah, growth doesn't feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I mean, when you said that, I was like, yeah, it's, and it's not meant to feel comfortable, because comfortable keeps us in the same space we've always been. And if we're open to the expansiveness that's available to us in this limitless way of being, that I think if you're in Jilly's space, you most likely, that's kind of, you know, your mission in life is to have a limitless experience and to always be growing and to always be expanding. I mean, it was never meant to feel comfortable, right? If it was comfortable, I think everybody would do it. And it is okay to feel the things. It is okay to process the things. It's okay to be in the thick of it. And it's also okay to know and to have a vision for the fact that, like, on the other side, whatever way the things work out for you is going to be exactly as it's intended to be for you. And you are safe and supported in processing the shift, whatever that shift looks like for you. You're safe and supported to feel the things, and you're safe and supported to still rise and to still come out on the other side. I know personally something that I've dealt with is feeling this sense of, well, if I'm feeling this way and if I am processing these things, and I've worked through this at this point, but it's kind of being heightened, or the awareness around it's coming back. But if I am feeling all of these things, helping someone else doesn't feel right. And you've probably maybe felt that too, Jilly, is like, you know, maybe I should have it all together. Maybe I should know this and know that. And maybe I shouldn't feel this way. Maybe I shouldn't be processing these things. And it's like, no, like we're all always on our own journey. And the best thing we can ever do is to break down the damn walls and connect with other people and help other people. And if we have the tools and the skills to hold space for other people, it is actually really powerful to be able to say, like, I too have experiences. I too am processing and elevating through this.
Yeah. And it's like when we do that, everyone's going through their own stuff. And like when we acknowledge and say that, especially like in positions where we're being watched and seen and like, you know, thought of as like an example, right? When we come to that place and say, no, I don't need to have my shit all together. No, I'm learning too. Then all of a sudden we give everyone else permission to be on this journey with us, right? And be like, hey, I'm not pretending like I know everything. I'm not your guru, right? Like as Tony Robbins says, like,
Yeah.
no, I'm in my stuff too. And I'm working through my stuff. And that's why you can trust me in this, because I'm not like, I will not turn into fear, and I will not, even though sometimes I'll fall into fear, I'm not going to lean into fear like I used to. I will be triggered by fear, but I'm going to choose to go on this journey with you every single day. And the more real we can be, and like, Erin, I'm so grateful for your vulnerability, because the more real you can be, the more people can see themselves in you, right? And we're so afraid sometimes to be vulnerable, and we're so afraid to be seen. And I actually was talking with a client today, and we were talking about like the fear of being seen, like afraid of like what others are going to feel or how they're going to judge us, or like what they're going to see, and not putting ourselves out there. And it's like, when we see ourselves, when we truly see ourselves, we care less if other people see us, right? And so like it's so beautiful. And so I'm so grateful that like you have the awareness, and you have the courage, and you have the strength, even though if it doesn't feel like it sometimes, um, to fully show up and fully be human. Show up and fully be human in your humanness, while having the awareness that you're not your human body. Does that make sense?
100%. I say that all the time, where, you know, souls having this human experience, like we're the, when we can tap into that level of awareness and consciousness, like we're 5D in the 3D, right? However we want to put it. But it's like, that's why I say like grounding yourself, but also being present and having that level of awareness is kind of the twofold part, is like anchoring yourself in. And I always say, like, I say this to my hypnotherapy clients, like you are a conduit for source, God, divine, whatever you believe, that higher level of consciousness to come through you and allow you to have this anchored in physical experience. So like we are the bridge between the two,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so for everyone listening, I've done hypnotherapy with Erin and it's amazing. Amazing. And so if you're looking for a hypnotherapist, and we did it remote, which was like so incredible and it was so cool, that I 100% vouch and support and recommend Erin, like as a hypnotherapist, as a coach, like as a mentor. So if you're interested in that, especially like I went to you because of fear, right? Like of being afraid of the dark, of panic, like of all these feelings of safety, which are coming up again, right, in this time, which of course, but like I wasn't, when I first got into the van, there was so much change and so much uncertainty, and like my level of safety, I felt so unsafe that like one session with Erin, I slept for 3 weeks. Like every night I wasn't sleeping at night. I was up and like I slept consistently for 3 weeks, which like never happens for me. And so please, like if you are dealing with fear and you need someone as a support system, like Erin is like a great part for that. And so so I just wanted to like make sure that I said that because I fully support you and believe in you and think what you do is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And so what is like, I mean, you've like talked a lot about healing, like what you are personally being invited to heal, and kind of like in all of this, another question I like bring to people is like also how do you want to show up? And so in this space, in everything that you're going through and the collective consciousness is going through, like how are you choosing to show up, and how do you encourage other people to show up?
It's funny that you asked that, because while you were talking about like being vulnerable and all of these things, I was just thinking to myself, huh, if I was being totally 100% transparent and open, like would I share what I'm experiencing right now in my marriage and in myself personally? Um, and that's something I want to think about. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say yes. But I also help women, in their business. And I think now more than ever, their gifts are needed. And I think in order to manifest the things that we want moving forward, me powerfully showing up and saying that even though, this is going on, here are the tools and the skills for you to master your frequency and still allow life to respond to you, not you trying to manage these circumstances of overwhelm. It's a massive shift to say, I'm still going to choose my frequency and my energy and allow life to respond to me. And therefore I still get to choose how this experience gets to look. And, even with that work being so powerful in me, feeling the call to say that more than ever, especially in a time like this, and giving people the tools for that. I also feel like kind of what I'm experiencing is, yes, I'm going through this. Yes, there are times that I am so emotional. Yes, there are times that I feel completely unsafe. I am still choosing my frequency. I am still choosing how I want to show up in that. And that's almost a parallel for, the call that we are having to show up in the collective doing the work that we do, right? Like I feel like there's a connection. I love metaphors, and I feel like there's a parallel between, the way that I'm feeling in terms of my personal stuff and the way people are probably feeling about their business, about all the things. And so really just deciding to show up and share those parts of my life, I think is really important.
Yeah, it is. It's really important. And so like for everyone that are watching, whether you're live or in watching the replay in one of the many channels that people are going to be able to access this, like I challenge you to really think about that. Like how do you want to show up, and like what is needed? What is needed right now? What is needed in your healing? What is needed in the people around you, right? And like and making sure that like you're honoring yourself, and honoring like the collective consciousness and what is being asked of you right now. And so like, yeah, I think like for me, it's like, it's the vulnerability, it's the sharing, it's the showing up even when I don't want to, like in realness, in rawness, and continuing to do the work, even when I don't want to, like even when I want to push the forward button, like we can't. And holding that space and like holding ourselves and nourishing ourselves, and loving ourselves through it, and like understanding that we're so afraid of letting go these other parts of us, right? Because we've lived with this part of us that we don't know what's on the other side. And and I think, I mean, we have so much evidence in our life, like you and I personally, and everyone that's watching, of the amazingness and the miracles and the joy and the freedom and the power and the growth that is on the other side of letting go.
100%. I mean, so much evidence in so many situations in our lives, our businesses, relationships, all of it. That when we let go of who we thought we needed to be, or when we let go of the identity that was never really truly us, but we had created it as a mask because, that's what we were shown, that's what was modeled to us, that's what we adopted since we were young. On the other side is this sense of like peace and freedom. And it's so funny because as I'm sharing this, I'm like, I know that feeling. I really, really deeply know that feeling. But now there's another part of my life that's calling me to do that. And like, I so long to be able to translate this feeling that I've created in other parts of my life over here. And, but I know that it's possible, and not just possible, inevitable, because I always choose the growth. I always choose the uncomfortable. I know there is no other way, because I do believe that once you're like woken up to the fact that like freedom's on the other side of you letting go of your ego and all of these things, you will always find a way to get to the other side.
Yeah. You can't like unsee something. You can't unknow something. And that's like, we know it. Most people who are watching this, who are in our realm, know it. And so there's no turning back.
I've said that before. I was like, I think life was a little quote unquote like easier when we didn't know this, but I feel like I've always known this, so that's probably totally not an accurate statement. I mean, I wasn't always doing this work, but people would always say like, you have an old soul. Like I always had this level of awareness that I couldn't describe when I was younger, because even when my parents would do things and I was like, there's something not right about that, like, or say things or judge people, and I'd be like, that's not what this is supposed to be. Like I've always had a level of awareness of like, not going to do that, not going to be that. But it is funny, the more and more awake, quote unquote, you get, the more it's like, oh, I can't unsee this, I can't unknow this. So here I am, like, buckle up, you're along for the ride. You're probably going to get pummeled a few times, you're going to get knocked down. I think my friend Sarah said it amazingly. She said, when you have a spiritual awakening, you think it's like running down the beach and like the wind in your hair and everything feels great, but really it's actually you like running into the waves like knocking you over, crashing you down, your bathing suit top comes off, like the salt water goes up your nose, and then you get pummeled again. And then eventually you stand up, but like,
oh no, I lost you. Okay, I think I may have lost Erin. And yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it's like. And it's kind of like being on a roller coaster and trying to get off halfway through. Like you can't. And so I don't know if Erin is going to come back on. I wonder if there's something. Yeah, I think we lost her. So, oh, there she's back.
was that me or you?
I think it was you because I
Oh,
went on Facebook and there was still me talking, but you weren't there. But you're sideways now.
oh, hold on. Yeah, but I have the phone the same way, so that's super weird. Okay.
There. Yeah. Um, but I basically just like was continuing on what we said. It's kind of like getting on a roller coaster and like trying to get off halfway through, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You're committed.
yeah, you're committed. Like you're in it. You're totally in it. And so what like if people want to follow you and find you and like just love on you and get sessions with you and work with you, where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you so much, by the way, for having me. This was really healing and good and beautiful. Yeah, so you guys can find me on Instagram. I do all kinds of stories and have posts, and I do live videos over there. So at Soul Naked CEO. I also have a free community on Facebook where I do live videos, trainings, workshops, things like that. And that's also Soul Naked CEOs, so with an S on the end. And send me a DM. My website's erincallcoaching.com. However you want to find me, I'm there.
Yay. Yeah. And so, okay, like, so, and then let's also talk a little bit about tomorrow night. Like, if people want to join us tomorrow night.
Yeah, so the cool thing is that Jilly and I were part of a mastermind. I think we first met back in like May or June, right? In the mastermind.
Yeah.
And there was like a group of 5 of us that got really close, which has been amazing. And we've like, since the masterminds ended, we've continued supporting each other. And so the other day I said, hey, let's do like a sister circle, or let's do some kind of like group call where we can bring people together, break down the walls, really see each other, support women that are really deeply desiring to step into their power during this time, that are willing to do the work, that want to come out on the other side stronger. Maybe you have a business that you're like, okay, I want to show up more powerfully than ever. Maybe you don't have a business and you just want to do this inner work, and you're really ready to shift into this new paradigm of inner work and seeing yourself and more of like a feminine flow and all of that stuff. We would love to hold space for you. We're doing a Zoom. It's totally free. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're overseas, you're going to have to Google because I don't know. But yeah, if you just message Jilly, she'll send you the Zoom link. There's no need to sign up or anything. But just, I think we're going to do maybe like a grounding meditation. We're all going to kind of share our gifts and just have an open forum. So, connect, all the things.
Cannot wait. I can't wait. So, okay, what is a piece of wisdom, divine guidance, advice, whatever that you want, message that you want to leave people with today?
What you want wants you. And I wholly believe that. Like what you desire desires you right back. You wouldn't have desires on your heart or longing to feel something if you didn't have the ability to create that for yourself. You're powerful beyond measure. Every answer you've ever needed is inside of you right here and right now. And you have the opportunity to turn inward more than ever before. Like I urge you, whatever that looks like for you, to just heed the call. However uncomfortable that is, heed the call. If you need support, reach out to somebody, find a sister, find a mentor. But what you want wants you, and the time that you have right now is really calling you to recognize that.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your light. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for showing up in your vulnerability and your realness and your rawness and your soul nakedness. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for holding space. This was beautiful. I really hope that this, touches the women that need to hear it.
Yeah. And so everyone, thank you for joining us. Thank you for spending this time with us. And just continue, love on Erin, follow her. She is so, so, so worthy and deserving of it. And your soul and your mind will only be blown. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.